Betsy,
Oh,
Scott, how are you from the Housing Innovation Alliance?
I'm doing well. And you, Dave?
Yeah, doing great. I mean, we have a lineup today of some really fun, exciting stuff. And I have to tell you, the industry has waited a long time for somebody to get together and pull together the tool that has been created by you and the colleagues we're about to have on today. So tell me a little bit about, why the why behind this heat map that we're introducing today. So we have an offsite construction heat map. Give me the why.
Great. While we, as an organization, the Alliance Housing Innovation Alliance, is focused on driving collaboration and innovation in the industry. And about a year and a half ago, we were really diving deeply into offsite construction, kind of talking to builders and manufacturers and offsite providers and software companies and architects and engineers, finding out really what the state of the industry was for the production housing market around offsite. And one of the big things that people were saying was that they didn't have visibility into the tools and the resources, the actual providers, whether it was modular companies or component manufacturers that were available to work with production builders and developers around the US. They couldn't see where they were, identify easily enough who they would be able to partner with. So they were really looking for more visibility. And a few people actually suggested a map. If they could see it on a map and feel it, it would be more relevant to them, and then it would make it easier for them to find who could partner with them and help them move in that direction. So we began working on this and really connected with some leading industry associations to start looking at what that data should be and put the tool together.
Right. I mean, I think it's just absolutely wonderful that, this map, which you're going to show us, just is such a great resource, no matter where you're at in the country or even the world for that matter, to be able to utilize a tool like this. I don't think it exists anywhere else in the world. This is it. This is the first place. Am I wrong in saying that?
You're not wrong in saying that. There are maps on other people's sites, but they tend to be focused. I think SPCA, for example, has a
Right.
map on their site. But in their realm, it's everybody who's related to the SPCA. What we've done with the map is make it really relevant to the production home building market. So we're not including commercial builders. We're not including companies that do direct to customer. Because that doesn't really serve the production builder or developer. So that's really what makes it unique, is the combination of data and the filtering of that data so it's more relevant.
Sure. So let's talk about some of the champions of this tool.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to hear from Laura Dwyer at some point. She's with DuPont. She leads global innovations for DuPont. And she actually, along with Margaret Whelan, from Whelan Advisory, the three of us were sitting at an NHB event and said, hey, this would be great if it was a map, and we want it to look like this, and we'd like to see, a heat view of where there are concentrations throughout the US. So that's why we called it a heat map, although when we show it to you, you're not really going to see that so much on the site immediately, and we'll get into that. But so Laura and Margaret Whelan were really the first two champions that we had. We have a lot of manufacturing partners and software providers who are part of the alliance as well. Covestro was very interested in it. So was MyTech and Simpson Strong-Tie. And a few of them actually were suggesting other partners that we reach out to. So you're going to hear from SPCA today. They've provided all of their data, both from their manufacturers, component manufacturers, but also on the framer council side, which is an interesting twist to that. And then Tom Hardiman and the folks at MBI, Modular Building Institute, and the Modular Home Builders Association. And then Devin Perry and the folks at NHB Systems Building Council also provided data and input on the tool. So it was really a collaborative effort, and we're very grateful on our end to be kind of a conduit to get that information out to the industry and for their help in doing so.
I think it's absolutely amazing that, because you mentioned a lot of people within, that are members of the alliance, but there's also a lot of people that are outside the alliance that all collaborated to come together as one unified team to make this happen for the good of everybody. And I think that's just super commendable. We actually have Laura with us here. How about we bring her in?
Sounds like a plan.
Look who it
Hey,
is.
everybody.
Hi.
Hi. You
Hey,
can actually
Laura,
hear me
how are
now,
you?
David? That's good.
I can hear you just fine. You look
Perfect.
great. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
So you're a partner in the Alliance and a champion of this heat map, as Betsy was just saying. Tell me, why were you looking for this type of resource, being with DuPont?
So I think that as the industry was focused on productivity and the challenge with productivity, a lot of discussion around offsite. And so, within our organizations and within different conversations I had, people are like, well, is offsite a shiny ball? Is it real? Where is it happening today? What type of offsite's being done? And I said, I don't think it's a shiny ball. I think it's a solution for productivity, but I don't have any data sets to demonstrate that it exists today and really by type. So I was talking with, as Betsy mentioned, we were just sitting around. I'm like, it would be awesome to have a way for us to visually demonstrate to the collective industry what offsite looks like today and who's doing what where. And I think that what I was excited about the Alliance is I could go and do that and I would have pieces. And like we work with NHB's Building Systems Council and MBI and SPCA. But the reality is what the Housing Innovation Alliance brought to the table was being able to crowdsource the information. So you were able to collectively bring in knowledge from multiple places in order to build a tool that's going to be useful for our industry. And I was really excited about it, and I'm really happy with the outcome.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about that and the use of this tool. How do you see the industry benefiting from it, other than the obvious, right? It makes it easy for everybody to find people. Is there some other reasons why you would see the industry benefit?
I think just from a network perspective, like you talk to a big builder, they don't know where all the panelizers are. Like a production builder, they know who they use in specific markets. If they go into a new market, is there a panelizer for them to use? As we work with offsite to make sure that what we're building offsite is high performance when we bring it on site, who do we talk to? How do we have those conversations? So just having the data set collectively for our industry and it depends on what you're looking for, but so if someone wants to go into Dallas, now they at least have a understanding of which panelizers in Dallas that they could tap into, which they probably did not have that full range of visibility before.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm asked all the time if I know somebody in a certain region, right? And it's hard to figure, like, you got to really start working the brain muscles there. For me, sometimes that's tough. So
you might say I have to go call somebody, or you can talk to this guy,
right,
or maybe this place, and now you don't have to do that anymore.
That's right. We can send them a link. So, well, that's absolutely awesome. So, Betsy, you want to give us kind of a run through on this?
Yeah. Yep,
Let me pull this up here.
Okay.
All right. All right.
There you are again, Laura.
Yeah, and Laura, I'm going to leave you in here for a little bit while Betsy works through some of this. So, Betsy,
Great.
why don't you take the floor here and walk us through what you have going on?
Sure. As is always fun with technology, we're experiencing a moment of the colorful streaming swirl. So I may switch over, Dave, to the PowerPoint version of this,
Okay.
because I'm not sure if it's gonna. Let's see if it. Nope, it's not gonna recover for me. So we've got a backup.
I can pull it up on my end if you like.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Because then we don't have to worry about my technical difficulties, and then I'll just ask you to click through that.
Yeah, not a problem. Hey, this is the fun part about doing things live. When I started doing this, I started to realize I had a lot more respect for the news agencies when you're watching it and you get all mad because the stream goes out. I get it. I get it. All right, here we go. Let me pull this up and you'll be ready.
Okay, perfect.
All right, you got it?
Yep.
All
All
right.
good. So we're going to give you a quick, wanted to take the moment again to thank Laura from DuPont and to thank Margaret Whelan, who's not on the phone, for the push, because really on our end, part of us creating a tool is knowing that there's demand for it. So what we try and do is actually drive the entire Alliance program and any resources that we create based on what's going to be useful to our community. So anyone who's listening to this in our community, if there's another tool that you're looking for, please, please, please reach out to me and let me know. But go ahead, I'll just give you a 30,000 foot view of what this tool is in a nutshell. So that's my visual pun for you. Okay, so we launched this in November of 2019. These are the current categories that we have on the website. So in part, creating these categories, we did talk to some builders and some other experts, and we really found that there was there were lots of different definitions in the offsite space, and there really wasn't a lot of consistency. You know, initially when we were looking at this, we thought we would do panelization as one and components as one, but then we tried to get people to define what panelization meant, and there was no consistent definition. But what we heard from the builders that we talked to was the main thing that they were looking for is they wanted to quickly be able to see that whatever solution they were looking at on the map was something that was going to provide installation as well as the manufacturing of whatever the resource was. So we decided to go at this point with components manufacturing. So those are kits of parts, things like BMC's Ready Frame would fit into that category. Roof trusses, floor trusses, wall panels, everything in that yellow category is something though that is manufactured and delivered to you, and the provider may give you other services like design, but they don't specifically do installation. We thought that was a key value add that made the solution more turnkey. So on the component side, manufacture plus install includes that expert installation in the field. We also have modular, which we look at as volumetric, multiple segments that would end up creating a complete structure. And then we've also seen some experimentation with builders with kitchen and bath pods. So looking at how you might be able to take a very complex and often a tight space of a bathroom, build that in a factory, and then ship that to the field and integrate it with the rest of the housing that you're building. So we wanted to call attention to those four things. And then certified framers was a recent addition to it. To the mix from suggestion of SPCA as we were developing the program. So that's a nice complement to the people who are actually doing the manufacturing. Go ahead. So you're actually looking at the old version of this. You opened the wrong PDF.
Hi.
Yeah, you opened the wrong PDF. I sent you a new one this morning. So
2 seconds.
Okay. So the reason you're all looking at the wrong PDF right now is very exciting thing happened in the last week. We announced that we got all the data from SPCA, which actually took us from, we originally had 250 listings on the map or so, 250, 300. We are now up to probably in total 800 or 900 listings on the map since what we started with in November. So we got SPCA's data and we posted on LinkedIn and said, yay, SPCA, we love you. And we had already been talking to the Modular Building Institute and the Modular Home Builders Association, and they were very quick to see that we were as far along in the process as we were. And they just got us the data toward the end of the week last week. So before today's call, we got everything cleaned up and we got everything posted, but you know, that's why there's two versions of this, because we've got some new pictures, new data to show. So are you all set now?
1 second. We're about 2 seconds out.
So in MBI and MBHA, we were looking at their data and trying to pull out, you know, not show the people who were delivering direct to consumer as well. So that's why it took us a little bit longer, but I think it's more valuable than to the end user to see that that information is relevant for a production building environment. So what you're looking at here is actually where you would see the heat map on our website. So there's two sets of navigation. You start out on our homepage and you would click what's new. Dave will also give you a direct link, and we'll give you a direct link on our social to the heat map as well. But if you go there to what's new, there's a tab that says offsite heat map, and then this map will appear on the screen for you. And there's a little bit of explanation on that page as well if you go back and look at this tool later. But if you click on the next page, I just wanted to zoom in for you, make it a little bit easier to see. So there are several things that you can look at on the page, several different tools. And I just want to show you those really quickly here. So this is actually those different, the different keys, the different provider types that I talked about a moment ago. By default, they're all clicked on here. But if there's something specifically that you're looking at, you can also click off of those boxes. So that's one way to look at data. If you go to the next one. You can also zoom in and out. So if you decide, what you want to look at in terms of component manufacturing and installation, or maybe you're interested in modular, then you can use the zoom feature to zoom into your market. So you can see all the pins that are relevant in your particular market. And then the next one. A little bit further up the map, it's a little hard to see that always on the screen at the same time, but in the upper right-hand corner of the map when you're on our website, there are two tools. And the first one that I'm going to tell you about, the search function, the magnifying glass, is really where if you want to zoom in on someone, if you want to see if a provider that you know of is on the map, you can put a name of that company in the search function. You can also put your address and say that you are looking for someone within a certain number of miles of your location. And if you happen to choose someone like BMC or 84 Lumber, who has multiple locations in the US, and you type in BMC into the search function, it'll then show you all the pins on the map for that provider. So it will do that for anyone, no matter what category they're in as well. The next one. So we've had a lot of help getting data, obviously from SPCA, NHB, MBI, but we've also had help from the general public. So we recognize that not all of the providers, even SPCA and all of those folks, aren't aware of everybody who exists in the market. There are constantly people creating their own capabilities or who haven't joined a group yet. And if you were to go on the map and search for a company and say it was your own company that you were searching for, and you don't find it, you can add it. What this does is we're crowdsourcing the information. We want this to be a tool that everyone can contribute to. But if you type in that information, you'll be prompted with the fields that you need to fill in. Then our team gets an email saying that an addition has been suggested. We'll go through and look and make sure that whatever that addition is meets the criteria, which aren't terribly rigorous, but just making sure that you are would serve the production home building environment, builders and developers, not delivering direct to customers. So that's basically the criteria that we're looking at. But we'll add you if you're relevant. So please do go to the website and add yourself if you don't find yourself there already. Go ahead. And we talked a little bit earlier when we get started on the phone. We're calling this a heat map, and I've had a couple people chuckle and say, "Why are you calling it a heat map? It doesn't look like a heat map." There's the tools that we have today with maps, I think, are amazing. A lot of the digital tools, and I know we as an organization, now that we're all working at home, we're all working offsite, we need to use digital tools more effectively. We've been looking at a lot of really cool things that are available today. But with this functionality in this map, it's either on the heat map at all times or it's not on the heat map version. And this is not very friendly to you if you're a builder and you're, say, in Louisiana and you're trying to figure out if there's a component manufacturer or modular manufacturer there. You can't really tell very much by the heat map version of the screen, it's better for the end user to look at the pins. So we've decided that on an occasion we're gonna turn the heat up, and we'll let people know on occasion if we turn the heat map function on. We'll put that on social and allow people to go take a look at it from this perspective as well. But we are monitoring this on the back end. Go ahead. So one of our partners is SPCA. Are they in the queue yet, Dave? Nope.
No,
Okay.
I don't see them with us just yet.
Okay, not a problem. So what we'll do, because we're on the fly, this is live TV. Just go ahead. We'll go to the next segment of overview materials, and then we can jump in. You can pull Kirk and Trish in when they get on the screen.
All right.
So if anybody, by the way, if anyone has any questions as we're going through this, we're going to address those at the end of the discussion, and you can type those in, right, Dave? Is that
absolutely?
fair
So
statement?
anybody has any questions, just type it into the comments section. And also tell us where you're coming from. We want to know where you're at in the world joining us today. So also, if you don't want to ask a question, at least say hi from whatever part of the country you're currently chilling out in.
Perfect. So, how do you use this? We tried to make it. I love pictures of kids. I don't have any kids, but I love pictures of kids. I've fur children on the back end. If you hear any barking, that's what that is. At any rate, so we wanted to make this really simple. So we're also going to put together, for those who are really interested in the tool, we're going to put together some demos that are more direct click-throughs that we'll be posting on our website next week. But we've put together some screen grabs just to give you a sense of functionally how you might be able to use the tool. So go ahead to the next one. Okay, so again, this is a step back and look at the map with all the pins on it as it is. Then you kind of need to decide, as we were talking about earlier, what you're looking for. And I think if you go to the next one, you can at any time unclick the all button and it will just clear the map entirely. So clear your mind and figure out what it is that you're looking for. Go ahead. Next one. So we have a lot of people who are looking for, a lot of the bigger builders in particular that we've talked to are looking for the components and the installation. So as much of a turnkey solution that they can get as possible. So the orange pins are the best place to start there. And those represent all of the companies who provide, they manufacture components and they also provide installation services. Some of them also offer design as an option. And when you go into each of the listings, like when you find a company or you're looking in an area and you click on a pin on the map, you're going to end up seeing the address for the company, a description of what they do, a list of their services, which would often include things like, it might include design. It will absolutely include manufacturing. It may also include installation. So those are the three key things that we've provided, that we've listed in the capabilities. Unfortunately, you can't search by everything, so you can search by whether they install or not, and then you can go into the further detail on that. But if you are looking for a turnkey component solution, this is your best bet, and you can see there's quite a bit of a heavy concentration on the East Coast when it comes to turnkey. But go to the next one, if you would. So say you're not on the East Coast, say you're in the center of the US and you didn't see a whole lot of orange pins there, although people do ship, a decent amount from their factory to the field. But if you didn't see someone, if you're in one of those markets that's not touched by those orange pins, another good option is really to go back to that component manufacturer and then click one more if you would, and add the certified framer in there. So you could see if you're in the center of the country and you see a little bit of that overlap between the black and the gold, which makes lots of people in the Pittsburgh market happy. Heart-wise, it's black and gold in the center there. You could get the manufactured components and some expert installation as well. And I'm sure Kirk will talk about this, but when SPCA, when he and I were talking through what this tool is meant to do and how we were looking to help the industry, he made a really good point in saying that a lot of people think that, and this is quite true, that framers are resistant to do offsite construction. They're resistant to install components. Well, part of the SPCA, they have a framers council of certified framers who are willing to, and actually skilled in, they've been vetted to deliver components in the field. So do the integration with whatever other building has been done for housing. So he suggested at the time that we add the Framers Council so that people who might be discouraged by only seeing a component manufacturer in their market could see that there was highly skilled labor that was enthusiastic even about doing component installation in the field. So I thought that was a great add and a really good win, a bigger win than I thought we would get just by him suggesting that on the back end. So that was great. So we do appreciate that.
Betsy, I got a question for you, if I may. I mean,
Yeah,
this is all awesome. What is the purpose of calling it a heat map?
It was when we talked about it initially, and Laura's probably laughing in the background a little bit. When we talked about it initially as a tool, we wanted to see the, when you talk about a heat map, it shows you that there are concentrations of capabilities, or there's concentrations of things in an area. One example is you look at a weather map, because I'm a Weather Channel junkie. And a Today Show junkie, and you look at Al Roker's weather map, and he might turn the heat map function on, and you can see where the storms are heaviest, and that's certainly a negative thing in that realm. But on a heat map for offsite, it could give you a sense of where the capabilities are heaviest, which was why we were interested in looking at it from that perspective. Mm-hmm. It also allows you, if you're a provider, if you're an offsite provider currently and you're looking to go into other markets, it would allow you to step back and see where the holes are and where you might want to offer different additional capabilities in a different way than looking at the map with the pins on it. It makes it, because especially with that map, you get a lot of overlay of those pins. And it doesn't, it doesn't show you in this view where the concentrations are really heavy. It looks like everything's heavy from the center of the state to the East Coast. But when you look at the heat map view, you really see where the concentrations and the intensity is in a different way than you do in this view. So I think that's an opportunity for us, and it's a bigger vision of what we're looking at. Because if the industry is going to move in this direction, we need capacity everywhere. So it's something that we're continuing to monitor, even though it's not the most user-friendly way to post things on the website. Sure.
Can you give me some idea, like so far? I mean, it's been up for a couple months now. Who's been using the tool so far?
Well, we know that builders have been using it to check out and see who potential partners are. We also know that manufacturers have been looking at it to see who potential customers are, what that customer base might look like. Is it, where are the modular people versus the panelization, or I should say the component manufacturing folks. We also had actually some folks ask us about a different view. So we didn't do panelization initially versus components, but we are going to look at putting together a second version of the map for people who want to see specifically where the panelization companies are. And that's been a request, I would say, mostly from the manufacturers at this point. We also have equipment and software companies looking at this. In addition, so the software companies, the BIM companies who might have a solution that could bridge maybe the gaps between a smaller builder and an offsite production facility. So, are there opportunities there, as well as the equipment manufacturers? We've got We've got some robotics companies who are part of the alliance connected to us saying, hey, we have a cool new piece of equipment that could help with panelization. Well, who should we be talking to about that?
Right.
So we know that they're looking at the map in that context. And then offsite providers are also looking to make sure that they're on the map, so that we've had some people submit their own companies for additions to the map, and they've sent us some really cool videos and background information on what they do as well. So that's been fun.
So, that's a great point, Betsy. I think because we have people I've seen from Ireland and other parts of the world. So we have the heat map here for the United States. If you take a look at it and they're not on it, they can reach out to you to be added if they're a component or offsite construction person.
Absolutely. And as I said before, there's the link at the top of the top right corner of the map is a plus sign. So just think of it, if you want to add yourself, you can go to that. That's the most immediate way to make sure that you get there, because if I don't know you, I'm happy for you to reach out to me, but I don't want you to get lost in my junk folder. But if you go to the map itself and you click on that plus sign and add yourself, it won't get it lost at all. It comes directly to us on the back end. And then we'll be able to take a look at it. I don't think anyone submitted a pin yet that we haven't added. But if for some reason we didn't, we would certainly reach out to the folks and say why we didn't, which would pretty much be that they don't serve, or we don't think that they serve the production housing market.
Right.
It's really the only caveat. And you mentioned other countries. For now, we're focused on the US.
Sure.
And actually North America, I should say, because we also have some members in the community that are in Canada. So that's been our area of focus. I'm sure if I wouldn't discount adding somebody in another market if they added a pin as well.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
So I think we're losing. Let's see. So let me ask you this then. Looks like we have Kirk and Trish have joined us.
Okay, perfect.
So they're on. Sorry, I was taking a look at that. So let me know where you want to go. You want to go back to Kirk and Trish and bring them in?
Yeah, just click again and see if they're, just click the next page of that. Okay, one more thing. So not to discount modular, and thanks to MBI and MBHA, and now you see your data's on the map. You can do the same thing. I gave the example first of components or panelization kind of approaches, because we're hearing that's more relevant to the production building market in more areas. But you can do exactly the same thing if you're interested in modular. And I found it interesting that we have a few kitchen and bath pod companies in the US too. So you'll certainly want to check that out. But I think that was my last, and you can click on the next one. If there's a picture of Kirk, we're good. Oh, one more thing. We already kind of did this. Kirk was before. We already kind of did this, but thanks to our partners on that front. But go ahead and bring Kirk in. Would love to get him connected.
All right, let me. Hey, Kirk.
Hello, how are you?
Thanks for joining us. Can you hear us okay?
Very well, yes. In fact, I was listening, so it's very good.
Is everybody picking up on Kirk?
I can't hear you too well, Kirk.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
let me make an adjustment here. I had to reboot my.
Let's see.
No, I can.
All right.
So
You got him?
Can we hear you now?
Yeah, it sounds like you have. So Kirk, welcome to the live stream. Sometimes everything just takes a little bit of time to get up and running. So tell us a little bit about why you got involved with doing the heat map with the Alliance and all the other collaborators.
I'm still working on my microphone. Is that better?
Oh man, you sound like a rock star.
Okay. So for whatever reason, the new Windows and all these updates causes the mic not to be set automatically, which is very interesting. So everybody's I have to be careful with that. The reason that we've gotten involved is because we have 492 companies that sell components in the industry, and obviously been doing this since 1952. So those companies do roughly $5 billion a year worth of business. at 841 locations. Makes sense working with Betsy. We've known Betsy for a while, and Ibicus and Covestro, and they're really good folks, and Betsy's done a great job with this activity. So it seems a natural for us to end up providing the environment where, and assisting with the environment to make sure that everybody has the ability to reach out to a component manufacturer that can help them.
Sure, sure. So recently, with this whole process, you guys provided, the latest infusion of data to this heat map. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for us?
Well, again, it goes back to working with Betsy and making sure that she has the resources necessary to really serve the market well. So
Right.
by that collaboration, that makes a tremendous amount of sense to work with her. And obviously, she working with us, there's a lot of information available. We may as well not recreate the wheel and really help best we can.
Sure, sure. And you know what? It's kind of interesting. So it's the first time I really heard certified framer. Can you elaborate on exactly what a certified framer is and what it means to the community?
Well, we've ended up setting up inside SPCA as a council, the Framers Council. And the Framers Council is, we call them professional framers. We have 73 professional framers that serve the entire United States, 100 skilled subcontractors. And the primary certification is called FrameSafe. And FrameSafe is dedicated to, if you go out on the job on any given day, our goal with that, and our goal with all the framers and professional framers, is to have everybody leave the way they came in the morning. And obviously safety is really, really critical. The componentization process that we're all embracing, and it's a natural based on the labor supply, we now have the ability to really help make sure framers have OSHA compliant resources that focus on safety. And everybody, obviously the COVID-19 thing is focused on safety. We all want to be focused on safety. And that's really the goal. And it's a combination goal: SPCA, components, fall protection, framers, frame safe, and getting home, really in the way that you left.
Right, right. And you know what? I agree. I agree 100% with you there. And I think this would be a good time too. I believe Trish is joining us from your team, and I think we should bring Trish in because she's been a big part of the SPCA as a chapter support manager, I believe is the title, correct?
Yeah, membership. She's
membership.
a membership and chapter support.
Great. Trish, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing great. Really, really happy that you could make it with us today. And just in a little bit of conversation that I've had in the group, I hear you have a pretty big part in all of this and what you do and all the support that you bring. So I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of everybody.
Yep. If anybody ever needs anything or has any questions, feel free to reach out to SPCA. We're always happy to help.
Yeah. So maybe you guys can tell us from the SPCA side and your side, what do you hope this tool is going to do for the industry?
Well, I think from my vantage point, it's really about collaboration. It's really connecting people together in the network. That's what Betsy's about. That's what SPCA is about. That's what BCMC is about. And as we're connecting, we need people. And, Trish is one of the connectors. Betsy's one of the connectors. Betsy's staff is part of the connection process. And that's really where we're at.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I love it. I mean, this is the coolest thing, I think, since sliced bread, if that's the saying, at least in my mind, having this tool, being in the offsite industry for a long time. I may just take it to bed with me at night. I'm so happy about it. My wife may not be so happy about that. Well, hey, I think it's awesome. I appreciate you guys being able to jump on. I know everybody's so busy, especially with COVID and what's happening. And I think moving on, we got another really important collaborator on this, and that was the NAHB BSC Devin Perry and the System Bill Council, right?
Yep.
So let me move some people around, and I'm going to pull Devin in, and hopefully Devin can kind of walk us through what he had going on. Thanks so much, Trish.
Yeah, thanks again, guys.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, and stick around. I'm gonna have everybody come back on at the end so we can see if there was questions. There's a lot of things going on. It's Devin Perry.
How you doing, Dave?
This
Hey,
whole
everybody.
live stream thing's like magic, right? I was saying before, if we put everybody up there, it'd be like a Brady Bunch episode. And I think there's probably a few of us on here that remember what that was.
Yeah.
Right?
You making fun of the young guy? That's nice.
Now, come on. All right, Devin. Here's the question. From my understanding of all this, you were the first one to provide the data to this whole process. You've been an advocate for the offsite construction industry forever. You know, I've known you for a long time just because I'm part of the organizations and what have you. You've now taken over the NAHB Builders 20 Club, which is absolutely amazing. You know, you got a lot on your plate, man. Why are you so interested in this heat map?
Yeah, and Dave, for the folks on the stream who don't know me, my background with the National Association of Home Builders is with the Building Systems Councils, first as the manager of membership programs and then the director. So that's my background, how I've become very interested in the offsite construction world. And knowing that the members of the BSC, we were very eager to partner with the Alliance on this project. Anything we can do to expose our members to a wider audience, we want to jump on board with. So again, we were happy to participate in, and I've been using the map during its development. Often when we have a consumer or a builder contact us, one of our members typically serves their area, but in the off chance they don't, we have another resource we can point NEHB builder members to find a offsite provider in their territory, which is fantastic. And we saw a need for a tool like this as well. It was impossible for any of the individual groups to produce something like this. We needed an outside third party, and the Alliance was a terrific partner and a conduit to do this. So we've been happy to be involved.
Yeah, it truly is amazing, and I can't say it enough that the Alliance has pulled together some of the biggest industry leaders that are out there, the NAHB, like you said, SPCA, all of them, right? And the fact that everybody was so willing to go and share their information so we can further our industry, further the technology, let people communicate, right? That's what I love, right? Let the communication begin, the innovation begin, the collaboration begin, because that's how we're going to drive this industry forward. That's how we're going to keep innovating. And I think it's absolutely amazing. My hat's off to you, Housing Innovation Alliance, and the rest of you out there, Laura and Kirk, everybody. Honestly, wonderful job. So from the National Association of Home Builders standard, Devin, how do you foresee this tool being used now and into the future? You told us how you were using it, but what do you see this doing for us in the future from your point of view?
Yeah, well, Dave, earlier you alluded to my new role at NEHB, which includes our Builder 20 program. It also includes our business management information technology committees, which is custom building, like I said, information technology, and a couple other groups. And we're all under an umbrella called business improvement now. So I look forward to bringing in kind of that wider builder audience. In NHB, we have about 60,000 home builder members, and exposing that group to offsite construction techniques. And this map's going to be a huge help to really show that the industry that look at all of this capacity, because we have, again, whether we're doing our on-site events at the International Builders Show, our own conference, the Building Systems Housing Summit, we constantly have builders wondering who can serve their area. So again, this tool is just fantastic, and something we plan to use to, again, expose that 60,000 to the offsite construction world.
Yeah, no. Hey, listen, I love it. So I think what we want to do, Betsy, is let's bring everybody on.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
Yeah,
and so let's see. Well, that's the slide. There's Laura, Kirk, Trish.
Oh, now we are the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, it is the Brady Bunch.
It really is. So I know we have everybody on, Betsy, but I think this is really important to ask with all the partners that we have here. where do you and the Alliance see this going forward right now?
Great question. A couple things. We've gotten actually requests for, I mentioned the one earlier, to do a version where you can see panel companies. So we're going to be putting that data together. We already, with the data that we have from SPCA, can just slice it in a different view and show that on a map as well. So we're going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks. I mentioned the demos that we're going to show, but bigger picture, there's another set of data that we're looking for. I'm going to make a couple more calls when we get off the phone here, but we want to include data on SIPs as well. We've had several people ask us, can there be a color or a tab? And we've already created one. We just need to go about sourcing that data and adding it to make the map more robust. We've also had folks that we've been talking to about how to slice and dice the data on the back end, and look at what trends it shows. What is the heat map in itself as a heat map, but what is the heat map when it looks at modular versus components versus installation capabilities, for example. So we're definitely going to be doing that. We have the capability to give everybody access to slides if they want to talk about this in a presentation. So we'll be putting together some graphics that will be public domain that people can use in industry presentations and conversations at their own, with their team, either live or virtually, if they're still working remotely, to look at that data in a more meaningful way. And in doing so, we would invite anyone who's interested in the tool to, follow us on LinkedIn. That's where we'll share those data points. And as we're posting about the heat map, if you guys have any questions, we do always look at the comments. So if you end up having questions after we're off the phone or ideas for data points that you'd like to see, you can do that through our social, and you can also email us at info@housinginnovation.org. So it is a .org as an email address rather than a .com. But we would be happy to get any feedback, any requests. That will really help drive how we slice and dice the information moving forward as well.
Sure. So before we get into the Q&A part of this, is there anything that we can expect from the Housing Innovation Alliance moving forward outside of the heat map?
Oh,
Anything
absolutely.
you want to share with us?
So today was our first live stream with you, Dave. So thanks for that experience, and hopefully I can get my screen to not be so impressionistic the next time. But we are going to be doing a keynote presentation on the 15th with Craig Collin from Tavistock Development. He's going to be talking about how, as the creators behind the Lake Nona community, which is very progressive in Orlando, how they are looking at the future of home delivery as a company. That's the big thing that we look at collectively as the Alliance. And this is all that streaming event is part of our answer to a live event that we were originally intending to have in April, which is now a one-day event called our Housing Innovation Staycation, since we're all kind of staying put at this point. It's a safe way for us to connect and collaborate with each other remotely. And that's a day-long event on the 22nd of April. So watch our social feeds for information on those two as well. And we'll be back here with Dave on the 15th of April, along with Craig Collin.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a lot of fun too. I mean, this is so much information, and you're right. Everybody's at home right now, turn their closets into home offices and all the fun stuff. And I threatened my kids they better stay on that side of the door during the whole process. So I'm sure everybody's in the same boat as the rest of us. Well, let's talk a little bit about who's joined us. I mean, we have people from Italy, Ireland, South Carolina, Georgia, Pittsburgh, Texas. Howdy, Mike Foraker, I guess is Texas. Is that the howdy part? Love it. Mark Willie in Chicago. I just had him on if you like green stuff. Marcy from Connecticut, Robert Burks, and Margaret Whelan. Margaret, thanks for joining us. I know you had a big part in that, and I'm glad you're tuned in. So maybe we'll have to talk to you a little bit about this as well. So We had a question from Thomas Reed. Clients in the U.S. that offer panelization in cold form steel framing installation, modular, and bathroom pods, does this qualify?
Absolutely. We have depending on what the solution is, I know that there are some steel form companies that do kits of parts that are steel form, just like the BMC wood kit of parts is.
Right.
So those companies we would put in the components manufacturer section. If you do something that is that's modular, that's with metal, we actually in each of the listings we try to note as well whether the provider is using wood, concrete, or metal. So we would note that as well in that listing, and it would really just depend on what they're offering. And we showed we've only got 3 or 4 kitchen and bath pod companies. I think that's a really interesting opportunity for the industry to see how we integrate that with regular. When I say regular, it could be panelized construction or it could be site-built construction. So I think that would be really interesting to look at beyond the demonstration projects that have been done, but how feasible that is and what the opportunities and barriers are to that as well. But absolutely, we would include, bring it on.
Perfect.
Click that plus sign.
Yeah, definitely. And if everybody's liking what they hear and see and what they learned today, please make sure you like and share this information so everybody has an opportunity to learn about this heat map and what we're doing. So I'm going to ask the panel before we end here. Is there anything anybody on the panel would like to add to what Betsy had to say?
I think one thing, just for the sake of following up on what Betsy just said on the discussion you just had, Dave, with steel. Many of the manufacturers that are component manufacturers, that they're often viewed as wood manufacturers, but they're not. Katerra's doing steel, Cascade's doing steel and wood, Southern Components is doing steel and wood. A lot of these folks, and probably the most important thing that people can think about is we're really in the engineered framing business. And as a consequence of that, don't limit any options or any ideas. You can componentize just about anything, whether it's a plumbing wall, you can componentize a plumbing wall. You can componentize a closed panel with windows in it. So what Betsy's doing here and what Devin's doing as well, and we've got a great collaboration going, which I really love. The bottom line is the only limit really to componentization in whatever form it takes, whether it's individual components as trusses or I-joists or LVL or floor panels or roof panels, the only limit really is your imagination. And that's what we're about, is expanding this imagination. And Betsy, with what she's taken on here, is doing just a tremendous job with that.
Yeah, well, you know what, all of you have. This is a big effort, but yeah, I think Betsy and the team at the Housing Innovation Alliance have all been just putting in a ton of work with all of you just to really pull this together and even pull this event together. Everybody, even though we're all stuck at home, it's, I think, in some ways making everybody a little bit busier in some aspect, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Hey, Dave, it's Laura.
hey, Laura.
I just did also want to highlight the beauty of what the Alliance brought to the table here, because it really was that engagement, that broad swath of industry that the Alliance focuses on and has as a part of the Alliance that enabled the crowdsourcing to start. And truly, there were no other sources of information that provide this view. And the fact that Betsy, through the Alliance, was able to pull together a tool that we can add or subtract and provide this view, I think is amazing. Just that whole crowdsourcing, thinking of ways of aggregating information in a new way, I think is amazing. And I think that really the Alliance, the swath of folks that are in the Alliance, enabled that to happen. So I just was really excited about what we were able to accomplish.
Yeah, it really is. And I have to say, it's a big step forward in our industry, as construction as a whole. You know, crowdsourcing has been around for a while in the tech world in Silicon Valley, but we seem to be kind of bringing up the back end on a lot of the ways that we think and the ways we move forward. And that you're absolutely right. This whole crowdsource thing is a game changer, and it is a way to just garner as much information as we can and be able to use that data to build tools that's going to help everybody. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, listen, everybody. You got something, Betsy?
Oh, I was just going to say, in relation to that, one thing I want to make sure people know, if you're a provider and we don't have a lot of data on you, one thing that I've noticed with, sometimes with the smaller providers, even the big ones. So Rainey Construction, for example, Buddy Rainey is great in this field. Does not have a website. He has a Facebook page. So I recognize that a lot of people out there don't have a web environment. So sometimes we got great data, the initial data from SPCA or NAHB or MBI. And as a group, we tried to pull together a broader description and some more rich background information. In some instances, that was not available. So if you're a provider and you don't have a website, or you see your listing and there's not enough data on there, we're more than happy to add it. We realize that everybody is at different levels of communications tools. So I just wanted to be sure to throw that out there, and invite any of those folks to also send additional data to us. We're more than happy to take it and add it for you.
Great.
Just one other thing to that point, when Betsy mentions Buddy Rainey, Buddy was just purchased by BFS.
Yes.
And Maryland's really plugged into a lot of those combinations that are taking place. That's happening quite a bit now. So there will be combinations, and we're going to have to communicate a lot on those as well, just to make sure to serve the market best we can. So we're there to help. I'm pretty sure Margaret Whalen would be more than happy to help. And there's a lot of good people. Obviously, Devin's keeping a pulse on that as well. So
yeah,
just
absolutely.
Yeah. So, one of the things about these live feeds and how we thank people for taking the time to actually listen to all of us ramble on the way we like to ramble on and talk about what we talk about is to make sure that we try and get the questions before we get off. So we have one more question from Miles. Miles is asking, what else can we crowdsource? It's a great way to come together. What? That's a good question. What else can we crowdsource in our industry to build tools like this or move it forward?
There are a couple of things we've crowdsourced already on our end. Actually, one is in the final stages of being packaged and will be coming out the end of the month. And I think we're doing a live stream on this one as well, which is our BIM roadmap for the housing industry. So BIM's been around for a long time, but I think the last data I looked at, 87% of contractors on the AEC side who work in commercial construction are using BIM for at least some of their projects now. We still, as an industry, are at 10%. Which is massive difference between those two sides. And again, part of that is perspective people are looking for. There is, a cost. There are some other hurdles associated with it, but more case studies and more in-depth information like that. And our roadmaps are intended to provide that. So we've done a lot of background work over the last probably 12, 16 months, interviewing people and putting individual resources together. And the roadmap that's going to come out is going to be at a higher level. That's going to give you a bigger how to think about BIM for housing. And then it will drill down into those sub resources. And that's a question we're asking right now is what's the next tool? So if anybody, I'm waiting to hear anybody on the phone wants to say any other tools that they want. We're all ears. But in general, we're focused on crowdsourced innovation for the housing industry. So if we find that there's enough of a demand for something and it's relevant to our audience, we want to hear about that because it might be something that we can look at.
Great. So there you have it, everybody. If you have a great idea on how we can crowdsource, please reach out to anybody that's on this panel or anybody at the Alliance. I think that's a wrap, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for bringing this out on Dave Cooper Live. I love it. You guys are so awesome to work with. I enjoy being with each and every one of you every time I have the opportunity to. And we're going to keep the conversation going and the innovation going. So until what, about a week from now, we'll be back on again, give or take, week and a half, I think it is.
A couple weeks, yeah.
Yep. And we'll do it again. So thanks everyone for tuning in. DaveCooper.live. I want to thank Laura, Kirk, Trish, Devin, Betsy. I'm glad it's all up there at the thing. It makes it easy to read. Thanks everybody for joining us. And we will see you in a couple weeks again, and keep staying tuned. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Dave.
much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.